Welcome back. In this episode, we will take a closer look at how to craft a good introduction and a good methods section. For the introduction, imagine in your head right now an inverted triangle. Now what I mean by that, basically the top edge is a broad beginning to your introduction, which means that you will bring in the background information of your research topic. Now how do you do that? You will do that by talking about what have been done in the field before. Some of this could be your own studies if you already have been researching on this topic for a few years. This is fine, but be careful not to have too many self-citations because this would basically tell the reader that you're not too informed or you don't really care about what's happening out there with regards to this field. So be careful about that. And also, when it comes to citing other studies, make it a point to cite studies that are within the last 5 years to demonstrate that you have an updated knowledge of this particular topic. So as we go down the triangle from broad to specific, we will talk about in the middle, somewhere there, about what has not been done before. Now this will give you the gap in the research topic. And this is the part where you will bring in your specific aim or aims of your study. Basically, what are you going to do to fill that gap? And this is also the part where you talk about how you approach this study to get the results that you want to get. Now, in most of the cases for the journal, do not state your results in the introduction. Do not give the game away. Leave your reader hanging out for more. But for some journals, especially those in the physical sciences, the journal may actually require you to put in your research findings, what you have achieved in this study. And that's fine, but just give a broad sense. It could even be in point forms. If you have 3 main results, just list out the 3 points. Now, so you can get it in your head right now why this inverted triangle is needed as a structure for the introduction, because you start broad-based, talking about previous studies, and you go specific down to the pointed tip, which is about the current study. You go from general to specific. Now let's look at how we would talk about methods. Now let's look at how we can craft a good method section. Oftentimes, a lot of people would do that part first because it's one of the easiest to craft. However, we have to be very methodical to the method section because you need the reader to be able to follow what you have done. Think about it like a cooking recipe, a step-by-step guide on how you eventually achieve your results. So we have to be very clear and very specific about who was being studied, what was being studied, how was the study done. If you have participants, you have to be very clear about who they are. Are they humans or are they animals? And you also have to talk about the source of your data if you're accessing databases. And if you have groups, you will talk about the big groups, how you would classify them through your methods, and how you break them down into subgroups to be studied. Again, do not bring in the results, but basically talking about how you prepare for the results and what techniques you use. If you're using new techniques or your very own techniques, describe it in detail. Always write every line and every word with the consideration of the reader in mind. Would he or she be able to repeat my experiment? Because in science, it's all about sharing the knowledge. Alright, it's not about trying to sabotage others and intentionally holding back some steps. So we have to be very transparent. Always take a step back and read through your methods and think about, would the person be able to replicate my study? Alright, or my colleague. So when you have done that, actually show it to someone you can trust to see whether he or she could follow your methods. And that is what makes a good methods section.